There are even studies now about, like, in utero, before a baby is even born, the hearing is so acute, and the nervous system picks up on all this stuff that's completely unconscious.
You know how many pregnant women took my class their entire pregnancy, and I was able to talk directly to that baby? See, that's what you're not realizing. There's people popular right now. I'm talking to babies, and I'm telling them to go to michaelandreula.com and say, go share it, like it, before they even were born. Now, these thoughts have changed their
neurological pattern.
Yeah, so you're welcome, first off.
Mike Andreula, he'll rock your world. Start your day right with Mike Andreula.
Guys, Michael Andreula here from Triple Colossal Studios with another exciting episode, bringing back the fantastic, the wonderful, the Zen-like Kristen Mangione. Kristen?
Hi. Great to be here.
The first episode went fantastic. It got me in the zone. Just to give a quick background summary, you're doing tons of things, Kristen. You're involved with Zen Space and movement. You do retreats, just generally helping people out, making their lives more enjoyable, because there's always different paths you can take, and the way you think is the way you become. So when you help them change the way they think, helps them become somebody different, and that's a good thing. So we appreciate that, and that's what we want to do for people on this episode. We want to kind of create a little space so that their thought process can possibly change. What is the best way? So say, let's break it down from a couple different points where I know people are interested in. One is confidence, okay? Say you're a person out there and you're searching for, how do I build up confidence in myself? Is there a particular method that you might recommend? Would you do it through movement? Would you do it through thought?
I think it depends a lot on the person. You mentioned something like movement, like that being connected with your body. For somebody who either that's their natural inclination, that can be fantastic because it's only going to enhance and expand that. And conversely, for somebody who maybe is disconnected from their body, it can also be fantastic because it might be an area where they don't have full power, and by putting that in place, it's going to open something up. Now, for somebody else, thought, absolutely. For the same reasons, somebody who relates to the world more intellectually, looking at their psychology, their belief system, that might be more accessible and easier for them. And I think also as human beings, because we are so in our heads, I think that the intellectual piece, the thought process, is great for anybody. I mean, my own personal experience, I've noticed that even though I would probably be one of those people who falls into the category of movement, because that's what I've always been connected to, and that's been my empowerment most of my life. But it was about changing my thought process. That was really where things
came together.
Yeah.
And movement, it's for people out there that are having a lot of, it's so simple. That's the easiest way. The recommendations, and I've just finished Russell Simmons' book on meditation, and just getting people in a habit of doing 20 minutes of meditation, and how hard individuals like myself struggle, because as soon as I start, if no input's coming in, I immediately am overwhelmed with thoughts, and it's like a dog. It starts attacking you, start getting angry at the meditation. So I take the easy route out, in my opinion, which is to work out. As far as that, brings you to this moment. Do you meditate? Okay. Can you teach us? Meditation seems like this state you can't get to. How do I go about it?
There's a couple things.
Okay.
One is whatever is coming up for you in the meditation practice is actually exactly what is there to teach you. this is just, again, my personal experience and my opinion. And I'll give you an example. When I first started like more traditional meditation, which was after I started doing healing work and energy work, which is a meditative state, I could not sit with my own mind and my own thoughts for about at least a year. You mentioned anger coming up. For me, I had a lot of fear and fantasy.
Wow.
Yeah, and I mean to the point where I would almost, you know, sitting in this meditation hall, like I would almost feel like I would have a panic attack coming on.
Yeah.
Because it, you know, there were all these unconscious things, and that's part of what it does is it shifts your brain. So the stuff that normally we're too busy to notice, it gets put on loudspeaker. Now, the thing about that is it seems paradoxical that that's exactly what you want to show up because it's getting to the other side. That's where the sweet spot is. If you can learn to sit with the being frustrated, being angry, or the being afraid, or the mind wanting to go, and be with that, and it's like at some point you'll just start to notice, like, I'm noticing my own thinking as an outsider. That's where things really start to get interesting. And it's totally different for every person. And it's I tell this to my students all the time. I encourage them. I say, don't feel like you're doing something wrong. Now, does that make sense?
It all makes sense. Actually, when you said fear and fantasy, it was like, wow, that's like you're talking to me. But I already, I know there's multiple people in my mind, and that I understand they're going to. Some are agitating. It could be schizophrenia. My uncle Dominic used to play Pac-Man at Mr. Biggs on 10th, 9th, 8th and Washington in his in a diaper, I think. So pretty sure he was really good at Pac-Man though. So. But no, they didn't tell me my entire childhood. I thought he was a loon. I thought he was crazy. And up until 2 years ago, they finally told me that he was in the Korean War, and that something happened there where like he had some head trauma.
Yeah.
So, why don't you tell me that?
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I don't think it's schizophrenia, but you always have. There's more than Eckhart Tolle's book, which I'm sure it's been talked about a million times even before he says it. But the one night he was breaking down, he said to himself, "I just can't live with myself anymore," and it made the realization that it's okay. I can't live with myself. Who's talking here? There's two people in this narrative. What's going on?
Yeah.
So your internal thought process is constantly flowing. So that made a lot of sense to me. But a year of just sitting there, well, not just sitting there, but active participation, and then you close your eyes. Do you close your eyes during meditation?
It depends. In the traditional Zen meditation, no. I mean, you're not, it's what's called a soft focus. So you're looking a few feet in front of you at the floor, because you're usually sitting on a cushion on the floor. And they do that because the idea is with the eyes open, it actually helps to keep you present in your mind from daydreaming. I do, though, in my Zen Moves meditation practice, I do have people close their eyes so that they cut the distractions and they can really focus on body feeling, which is what it's based in.
What about mantras? Because there's multiple different meditations.
Absolutely.
In Zen, the particular one you're practicing, do you do a mantra? There's no mantras, right?
They in Zen, they don't actually have a mantra. They have what's called a koan, which is you know, the typical one is like, what's the sound of one hand clapping, or the tree falls in the forest and no one's there to hear it, doesn't make a sound. So these seemingly unanswerable questions that
So am I supposed
the
to
rational
think about?
Well, that's the whole thing, is you sit with something that seems like it just doesn't make any sense. And it's the whole point is it's not a question that intellectually you could figure out.
That's really interesting. I try to do that in class, but like with Ryan Gosling jokes. Because if you're under a tremendous amount of stress, and I've tried everything to motivate them, I will try to confuse them. And it works. It works like gangbusters. I don't know what I do with 80s, or make them think back to a time where they have to like, oh, what was that movie, Batteries Not Included. It works. People they start getting lost in I don't even think it's a thought process. Their brain just stops. But I would probably come to the conclusion that I wouldn't be able to hear a hand clapping. And then you're in the meditation. Are you continuously not thinking? What's going on in your mind? What happens?
Well, you know, you mentioned about mantras or in Zen koans. It's and something also too. Another thing we do when you first start is counting your breaths. But the point is, with any of these, it gives you something very specific to focus on, so that your mind is not supposed to be distracted. And the trick with that, the practice is, as you sit more and more, you notice your mind will want to be, because that's how it's hardwired. It's all circuitry. That's all it is. It's just neurons firing. And it is a practice because you keep bringing yourself back when it goes away, you know.
Now, this is the thing, you don't ever escape, though, stress, fear, anger.
Yeah,
like, you escape it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Sign me
I
up.
mean, it's there. Yeah, let me clarify why I said that. There can be moments where something shifts, and it's not like. I mean, this is again just my own personal experience, but there can be moments where you really feel like the brain waves literally can shift.
Okay.
But it may only be for little glimpses. But that in itself is, compared to how you usually, and especially, you know, experiencing fear, anxiety, to be in this place where you feel like, I can't be with this, and then all of a sudden it just disappears.
Yeah.
And then there's just nothing.
Well, that's fantastic. Kristen, maybe we'll just we should flash where they can find out more about that immediately. Because there's a lot of people that obviously it's tough out there, and if you don't have tools, or even, this might not even enter a lot of people's thought processes, and that's why they snap.
Yeah.
But it's an opportunity. So basically what I'm trying to do is take 20 minutes in the morning, every morning, as soon as I wake up, and try not to think.
Yeah.
Is that a good meditation?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Can I use a mantra? Can I use?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you know, doing what works for you, because do you feel like it makes a difference?
Yeah, the mantra helps me a lot. The first time we did the mantra, we walked over the coals at actually Anthony Robbins thing, and it was cool moss. I don't know if that helped, but Russell Simmons recommends rum. And you just say it a million different ways, and I'm used to saying things a bunch of different ways a million times, so I can put myself in the zone. But then when I'm out, I'm good. But if my energy gets low, I start losing sleep. I'm sore. I get more agitated, and I feel like it wears off.
Yeah.
So it's just every day.
Well, you know, if you think about, right, I mean, training is something that's very second nature to you, right? I'm talking about athletic training. And it's much like that, in that there are days where it doesn't feel as natural. You feel like you're fighting yourself, but you show up, you know, to the gym, you show up to the cushion, the same thing.
What's up, guys?
Because
are you making fun of my chest hair?
No, we're looking at the tape.
No, we left the draft tape in the trunk.
The gaff tape.
oh,
Son of a bitch. No.
it's all perfect.
Listen, guys, it's like, you know, it's a reality show here. You got to expect things like this. You know, on Jersey Shore, Snooki got punched. Here, the gaffer's tape got left out. It's controversial. We'll do a whole on this episode. The gaffer's tape is left out. Multiple shots of gaffer's tape. Ruining an entire podcast. But the misplaced. So it's a mantra, might help people to get in there, but there's more, you know, people talk about what's transcendental meditation.
You know, that's actually one that I don't know as much about. I believe it has something to do with, you're really focused on the present moment. I mean, all meditation is that, but they do it in a very, that practice does it in its own particular way. I'm not sure if it's more sensory based. I confess, because I don't know exactly. I can't fully comment.
I'm trying to hypnotize people. I'm trying to use crazy psychological experiments. We did one with, we haven't released it, with Adrian. We put him under hypnosis and make him draw a picture.
Really?
Flash movies, really quick, subliminal messages, and see what he draws. Then we do an analysis. We could take this one high intensity strobe light put it in their face, and then it makes them lose concept of time.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can implant messages into their brain. We can do a happy one, where we just put pictures of people like Devin. We'll just put him smiling, laughing, million pictures a second, so fast, and just tape it to his eyes. Put his eyelids like this, and tape them down, and do it 2 or 3 times a week, and trying to pre-program brains.
Yeah.
But obviously, if you could just meditate, why not just do that? We're doing this for fun.
Just to see what happens.
See what happens. But I guess you're hypnotizing yourself through meditation.
Well, you're changing your brainwaves. Yeah. Something I tell my students is, we're used to either hyper alert, sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight.
That's me.
Which that's, 99% of the time, or we're dead asleep. But there's actually this whole gray area. There's theta waves. There's there's all this stuff that, like the lucid dreaming, the I'm present, but that get into things like dreaming state, intuition state, clairvoyance. A lot of healing work taps into those other levels, and that's where the parasympathetic nervous system takes over, which is your healing response, rest and repair. So things like meditation, prayer, even something that really takes you. You mentioned about working out, and that's a more accessible way for you to feel like you always talk about in class, being in the zone.
Yeah.
That's a meditation.
And people miss that. I see like a lot of religious ceremonies, and it reminds me of class. I don't know if I don't want to say. I think it's a Muslim sect. I don't think it's not the standard that they organize the worship like this, but they line up in a circle and they all start going like this and chanting. And after an hour of doing it, you're putting people into like in a good state of mind, good zone. And I was thinking how a class is kind of trying to build up to that point, put everybody in the same
completely
tune.
Yeah, it's entrainment. It's which, I mean, children do this with and I'm not sure the scientific basis of why this is, but that pre-verbal state where their nervous systems, they automatically align with the energy, like the kind of state, the mood of what's present in their environment. So like their parents, if they're anxious people, they're more tend to be anxiety prone. So you're basically doing, in the ritual of the religious practice you mentioned, and in your class. I mean, you always talk about, you can tell when everybody's with you and when they're not. That's the entrainment.
Yeah, sometimes it's me, but sometimes them.
Yeah, but there's this give and take. Yeah, and you as the facilitator, because you are literally, you're cueing everything and directing all of the activity. And if everybody kind of falls into line, then there's this synchronicity in terms of movement, in terms of breath, in terms of all the verbal stuff, and it all kind of comes into this holistic, this whole connection.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And you teach classes as well, so you understand the importance of it. Caesar Milan, because I do it, then everything I see I relate to it. People do this all the time. I don't know what it's called, but I'm sure it's something.
Yeah.
But, and I don't want to compare people to dogs. They're not, but Caesar Milan takes them and takes a dog that's misbehaving, puts it in a pack of 100 stable dogs, and that dog starts to adopt good behaviors, starts like instantaneous. Yeah. Where when I do one-on-one training, I don't have that opportunity to put people into a pack. So I like to put people in a pack. Also, they work way harder. I would do it too, because I can see people in class that are kind of my level. I should be pushing like that person. A lot of things happen when we get to use that class atmosphere in that pack. Yeah. So it's not an offensive term, it's just the way people are. People aren't exactly like dogs either, and I felt somebody pointed that out. It's like saying at a point they were like, you want to be the alpha male, you want to be the alpha, and pointed out that we don't structure ourselves in alphas. Yeah. Dogs do. Well, we're monkeys don't do that. So we humans we work together. I don't know. You could, be a strong, present person, but you don't want to consider yourself the alpha male, in my opinion, because we have to work with people for society to work. So we can't just have an alpha male. The most important thing, Kristen, they can do for themselves is what. So if you had to give them something that they were going to do each day.
Oh, like a practice or some
Yeah.
kind of thing that can
So
make a
people are
difference.
building confidence, or they're depressed, or they have anxiety, or they want to even just perform better. They're already doing well, they want to perform better. Is there a particular thing you would recommend?
Yeah, it's something called a clearing exercise, which is, and ideally, you know, you have a few minutes, like let's say you're talking about performance, or you have fears about something anxiety driven, is, you know, just by yourself for 2 minutes, just verbally start saying everything that you're concerned about. So like, let's say that, you know, my background is dance. So if I was going to go on stage, you know, getting ready to go out and perform, I would say, you know, I'm afraid that I'm going to fall on my face. I'm going to forget the choreography. I'm not going to know what I'm doing. I just, blah, 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 like just verbally, just like dump it all out there.
Okay.
And then as you do that, and the reason you do this verbally is because listen to yourself and what you're actually saying. And then at some point you'll start to notice, wait, is any of this really accurate?
Wow.
Like for me, I mean, and I even, when I first started teaching, I would do this. And, you know, one of the things I would say is like, okay, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm not qualified. And I would think, my brain would go, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
You
So
like,
you need that.
you're like, you know, you have like 15 years of experience and you're like overqualified.
That's good.
And then I would recognize my own fallacy in my psychology. And then once you do that, the second step, which is really, really, really important, is as an intention, and again verbally, say, okay, this is how I say it's going to go. Okay, I said it's going to be amazing. There's going to be self-expression, there's going to be ease, there's going to be beauty, there's going to be discovery, there's going to be joy. And then just go do your thing.
Damn. Yeah. Can you just transplant your inner, whatever you just said, into my brain? Can we get to that point? I guess.
When Google technology gets
I think
up,
maybe
yeah.
we're in a transition. Our bodies are still set up for different times.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're constantly looking for the challenge that are going to arise. I don't know who said it, but they were saying, you know, basically none of the stuff ever comes to fruition that you dream up
That
of.
you're afraid of. Yeah.
Like you're making up all your worst nightmares.
Mm-hmm.
And it's good. I do put on my paper, put down on paper, what's the worst case scenario? Like for boot camps, what's the worst case scenario here?
Yeah.
Even like if everything burnt down tomorrow, what would you do? Would it really be that bad? And you come to the conclusion that, listen, you're a fully capable person of making stuff happen. Don't worry about it. If you don't believe that out there, then you won't be. You'll be in it. You'll be what? You won't be able to respond. Who said it? To Wayne Dyer's responsibility is being able to respond with ability. You know, and if you're educating yourself, you're watching this, I wouldn't have any doubt you'll be fine. You might need somebody to tell you that, but this is a great thing. Put the thoughts out there, and then question if they're ridiculous.
Yeah.
What if you find they're ridiculous? Like it's like I'm gonna go play for the Knicks or something.
Well, if anything else, you know, it's the opportunity to hear yourself. You know, and that's the whole thing of, and you could also do it with another person, this clearing thing. That's even better sometimes because, you know, this, like you said, the stuff in our heads, it often is so completely unfounded or it's past-based. It's also evolutionary. We carry in our DNA, like the history of, you know, you think about what humankind has had to endure, and life really was hard 500 years ago. It's not, you know, it's not now for not for all parts of the world, of course, but you know, in this particular society in which we live. So,
No, you're right. It's built in because wolves. If a child baby's never seen a wolf, they'll react to the picture negatively. And snakes.
Oh, interesting.
Also, children that grow up in more violent environments are born with more, I believe, muscle mass.
Yeah.
Because their bodies in this vicious, violent, like you are affected by this. And we just talked to Dylan, who Max just starts drumming.
Yeah.
Off the bat, so we're like, what's going on? And you find out Dylan's grandfather was a musician, and probably back to medieval times there were musicians. So it kind of gets built into your DNA.
Completely, yeah. It's that like, it's in your environment. I mean, there are even studies now about like in utero before a baby is even born. the hearing is so acute, and the nervous system picks up on all this stuff
how
that's
awesome
completely
that is?
unconscious.
You know how many pregnant women took my class their entire pregnancy, and I was able to talk directly to that baby? See, that's what you're not realizing. There's people popular right now. I'm talking to babies, and I'm telling them to go to michaelandreula.com. I'm saying, go share it, like it, before they even were born. Now, these thoughts have changed their
Neurological pattern.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you're welcome, first off. And you're watching this on your retina display sensors from Google. In the future, listen, guys, that's honestly, there's, because a couple women after they had the baby would bring the babies in,
Yeah.
and they wouldn't make a peep in my entire class. They would be like, this is,
Yeah.
I'm at home here.
Well, in a way they are, because there's this thing about familiarity, and you mentioned about like children who are born into more violent environments. It's not, we can't distinguish what is like good or bad, for lack of better terms, but rather just what's familiar.
Yes.
So, and neurologically, energetically, if you believe in that system, we're going to automatically stay connected to and keep attracting what is most familiar. And that's where the whole, changing your belief system becomes really important, because as human beings, we have this is just, again, my personal experience, but in all of the work that I've done with meditation, psychology, belief, consciousness, we have so much power if we have the right tools and the right kind of support. It's really extraordinary, because it speaks about the human mind and how malleable it is.
Could I ever have a Zen life in my current state of things I do? Is my life so chaotic?
You lost cause.
Am I a lost cause for this case?
What do you mean when you say Zen life?
I don't know, just smile. Like, say classes, I have to use a certain approach. At least I'm used to using that, and they're used to it. So it's a lot less effort at times to. It's way easier to use a hard approach on what things I do after they trust you, because then you just put it on them. But I want to help them. I want to motivate them. I want to make it easy for them. So I feel like I'm draining myself sometimes to even it out. Some days they're giving me energy, and some days I'm giving it where I have nothing left.
Yeah.
So then I just feel depleted after that. Is that just fine? Is that part of?
Well, yes and no, because you've been teaching, 16 years, right? Yeah. So
After my first client, I was 13.
God.
Tony.
Wow.
Tony, it was, he just wanted to get big arms. So I was like, I think I could handle this. We just did curls all day long. Tony, if you're out there, it's been a long time.
But
yeah,
to the question of depletion, because, I can relate it to, I do healing work. And one of the things I noticed was early on, even though I'm a really healthy person, I was starting to take on a lot of the stuff that people were releasing energetically. Like to the point where like I would give somebody a session and they had neck pain, and then all of a sudden my neck would be weird. I'd go, what is that? So that whole entrainment thing about there is a give and take, the same way that there is in your class. But what I would recommend is to be careful about, because you don't want to get into a situation over time where you feel like it's diminishing your energy and your quality of life. If you start to feel like, you're suffering physically, energetically, like it's weighing on you. And there are things you can do to kind of, to help yourself. One is to make sure that you're doing enough of your own self-care. So like meditation practice is really good to kind of restore yourself. Of course, things like adequate sleep, all that stuff. But also too, maybe something as simple as after you teach all your classes for the night, just to yourself go, a couple breaths and just go, okay, like I completely release everything that everybody else had going on.
That's great. I'm going to do that. I actually do that prior to classes. I should do that at the end.
Definitely do it at the end. That's even more important. Because if you believe the idea of setting intention by stating it, or just for yourself in your own mind, you release it. And then you're not, because think about, I mean, how many people you teach on a Monday with 4 classes and you take all their stuff home with you? You don't need to do that. And it's not, I'm not saying it's conscious.
Yeah,
It's
no,
not,
of course.
you know.
It's so much. Like the amount of words that I say on a daily basis is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So there's some reverberation when I go home. You know, I'm saying so many things. It's not to, that's the fact of the case. Fact of the case. Fact of the matter. I'm just saying things continuously. So I guess, but I do shut it off pretty well. Except for Wednesdays, then I get crabby.
Yeah. Well, because Wednesdays, if I'm correct, right, it's such an extreme schedule.
Yeah.
very
No,
early.
it's
Or
Saturdays. I teach Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday,
Okay, so
Thursday.
Wednesday's like Friday night.
yeah, so it's like a cumulative.
Yeah, I feel like I've been beat up. I'm out on my feet, but this isn't really about me. But it could still help people.
Yeah.
It can help you because you can do that at the end of the day before you go home to your family, and you know you're going to bring everything back, or before you're going to you do a big project or test or anything, just release it because you can't do anything at that point besides do the best you possibly can.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're like creating a space to release, you know, anything that's still lingering, and then it's like cleaning the slate. You know, and there's all kinds of, like, you could make it, of course, like totally what's personal and appropriate to you. Like I remember when I first started studying energy work, and someone who was a graduate said, "Oh, you know, I burned some incense," and I'm like, "What are you talking about?"
That works.
But yeah, I mean, for her it works. You know.
Christy has this one called Poison. She got in Super 2001, and it's
Super Compra.
and it smells like in Costa Rica, if nobody's there, it's a lot of tropical countries. So they burn the dried leaves and vegetation. There's so much. They're burning it almost every day in the dry season. Also, so you don't set the place on fire. Yeah. And it has that smell. You know what smell it is.
Yes.
It's I don't know how to describe it. It's it's like a fireplace, but very light.
So attached to memories.
Yeah.
Totally.
So strongly attached to memories.
Yeah, they say that's probably one of the strongest connections.
Yeah, it's one of the deepest in the brain. So it's like, and like you said, it takes you immediately back to an association. You know, positive or negative.
We'll use that in the psychological experiments we're doing on Adrian. We'll use the sense of smell and tie it to it, and then that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Note that down. I can't wait to get all the instruments in. Kristen, what do you have coming up? We talked about doing a live concert, question, Q&A. We'll see how that formulates.
Yeah.
What do you have coming up because you have multiple things happening in Zen spaces?
Yes, we do. We do.
Could you give us a quick
Yeah.
breakdown?
We have something called our community events. We do those monthly, and we actually have one coming up this Saturday, which is, it's a meet and greet for the community, so an opportunity to get to meet new people in your neighborhood. And then each month it's organized around a particular workshop topic.
This Saturday?
This Saturday, yes.
What time?
The 26th at 2 p.m.
2 p.m.
And
pre-register where?
You can pre-register on our website, which is zenSpaceStudios.com.
Okay.
And it's got the information.
So it's a meet and greet.
It's a meet and greet, but then the heart of the gathering, which is for 2 hours, is what's called a resonance repatterning workshop. And that is actually, ironically or perfectly enough, part of what we were talking about. It works with reprogramming your psychology using energy practices. So you bring subconscious things up. And then it uses muscle checking, which is from kinesiology, about whether your brain resonates with something as true or not true.
Really?
Yeah. I'm a perfect test case. I've been doing it for 2 years. And
so if you hold, do you use it like a lie detector test?
The muscle testing is like a lie detector.
So you can tell if they're lying?
Well, not
Teach me
lying,
that.
not lying, but
Or lying to themselves?
but what they actually
It's not
believe or
true.
don't believe.
Okay.
So I'll give you an example. Let's say I said to you, I really, really want to be a successful business owner. And you'd have to be trained as a practitioner to check the muscle testing. And the person who does it with us, she is. But then she will check basically the resistance in my arm. And I might say, yes, that's what I want. But my nervous system might go, no, actually I don't.
Okay.
And then you start going through this whole system of where does the subconscious belief that I don't even know is there, has it
Okay.
like, if that happens, it's actually a bad thing. And then you bring it up to light, and then you can actually release it and change it. It's pretty cutting edge stuff.
I'll
It's
try
very,
to stop by. I don't know if we're doing anything Saturday.
it's very amazing.
But
It's on Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday
I
too.
love your audience there.
They're cool, right?
Yeah, so supportive.
Yeah.
That was just the best. I could do that all day and just be like, this is great. You guys are so nice. Jordan was the only person in the sea of people not paying attention, not laughing.
Yeah, yeah.
We got to
Very
bring,
important
yeah.
texting going on that day.
We also too, can I mention another thing we
Yeah,
have going
please go right, keep going.
on? We are just about to open registration for our July retreat, which
Okay.
is called Awakening Inspiration.
July what?
July 17th through 20th
Okay.
in the Catskills.
Catskills.
Yeah, and it's all about practices, meditation, yoga, movement that really get you in touch with your authentic creativity.
That's
Like-
beautiful.
Like what's really like what
So
makes
give
your
me a
heart sing.
typical day. I know I hate even telling people typical days in reboot camp, but like
What would that look like? Getting up in the morning, doing traditional Zen meditation, chanting, breakfast, and then morning sessions of either a yoga class, a Zen Moves meditation class, which is body awareness based meditation.
When is it again?
July 17th through the 20th. It's a Thursday through Sunday, mid-July. We're going to open registration and announce it next week, the 30th.
Cool. Well, listen, this we'll make sure this gets out fast. That might be something. I don't know what it would be like. If the cool thing is, it looks well. It looks like you're in Japan.
Yeah.
I didn't understand at first. I was looking at the pictures and I said, "What is Kristen taking people to Japan?"
That's next year.
Yeah. What are you doing here? And no, it's actually they built it precisely. The sculptures, the chains you mentioned.
The rain
if it
chains.
rains, oh
Yeah.
man, so cool.
Yeah.
And it's another restart, recreating yourself type.
Completely.
It's a weekend.
It's a long weekend.
Cool.
Thursday, the second half of Thursday until Sunday.
Awesome, and they can go where to register.
Also the website, ZenSpaceStudios.com. We'll have the full information next week.
Okay, so what I can recommend is go to the site, guys. Start to, I don't know, make some change with the tips you gave. I thought that was a great tip to release yourself.
Yeah.
And if I have to give a tip before, make sure you start yourself and release at the end, and practice some basic meditation, which could be a mantra,
Yes.
could be think about one hand clapping.
Yes.
I'm going to try that one.
Yes. The sound of one hand
We
clapping.
also, to sum up, we discussed how even when a woman is pregnant, that the baby can actually sense the environment, can take in information.
Yeah.
And then I mentioned how I use that to relay information and advertising to the babies in the womb, in the kickboxing gym,
It's very effective.
and how in 30 years that will just... and that's about it, guys. I really, really appreciate this, Kristen. It's been fantastic.
Thank
We
you.
always enjoy having you here.
It's my pleasure.
If you have any questions, comments, please put them at the bottom. I will get back to them at some point. The thing is, YouTube has comments, Vimeo has comments, the website has comments, Facebook has comments. So, which one are we supposed to monitor?
Yeah.
Certainly not YouTube's not the highest on my list of things. Vimeo, they're not really commenting people, so Facebook, I guess. So you can comment on Facebook, questions, concerns, or topics you want to discuss, and we'll do this again in a couple weeks.
Awesome.
Cool?
We can do questions for Kristen,
All right.
and then we'll just
Oh,
roll
great.
down, and then you can do a
Yeah.
podcast answering the people's
That would be
That's a
great.
great idea.
Yeah.
all at once.
Very cool.
So do that, title it Questions for Kristen.
All right, questions.
We'll keep them.
Write down. What time do we have? Oh, yeah.
Ask me questions.
Do you have any questions for Kristen?
No, I mean, tell them on Facebook.
On Facebook.
Any other topics, guys, you want to talk
On
about?
Facebook.
Oh, on Facebook. Yeah, yeah.
Next session.
On Facebook, guys, what we'll do is compile a list of questions, and we'll have Kristen give short, tight answers to answer everybody's particular question. The problem is when you do this, Kristen, they're going to ask questions now. Okay.
Okay, that's, you know what? That's actually a great problem to have.
Well,
I love being
sometimes
in
it
dialogue,
is, but
so.
sometimes these are like pretty in-depth things, and you're going to have to spend a lot of time consenting
We'll
down.
pick 10 good ones.
10 top questions. So whatever you'd like, hit it up. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Keep liking, supporting. Do it, don't do it. I don't care. Okay. We did have a sponsor. It's obnoxiously expensive sunglasses called Red Star, and I couldn't, in good faith. They gave me a pair. Where are they? I don't know if I have them here. They gave me a pair. They're really not. They're not worth $140. So I can't. I'd rather buy the wax for men. I feel better with that one. So peace out. It's Bear for Men. For those bears out there. Peace out. Have a fantastic day, and we'll be seeing you soon.